Let not your heart be troubled. You are listening to the Sean Hannity Radio Show podcast. All right, so I have insomnia, but I've never slept better. And what's changed? Just a pillow. It's had such a positive impact on my life. And, of course, I'm talking about My Pillow. I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep longer, and now you can, too. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-919-6090. Use the promo code Hannity, and Mike Lindell, the inventor of My Pillow, has the special 4-pack. Now, you get 40% off 2 My Pillow premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Now, My Pillow is made here in the USA, has a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and a 10-year warranty. Go to MyPillow.com right now or call 800-919-6090, promo code Hannity, to get Mike Lindell's special 4-pack offer. You get 2 My Pillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for 40% off, and that means once those pillows arrive, you start getting the kind of peaceful and restful and comfortable and deep healing and recuperative sleep that you've been craving and you certainly deserve. MyPillow.com, promo code Hannity. You will love this pillow. All right, glad you're with us. Write down our toll-free telephone number. We got a busy day on the program today, 800-941-SEAN. If you want to be a part of the program, we got a showdown now coming up over the issue of sanctuary cities. How many more people have to die, be killed? How many women are going to be raped, like in the case of what happened in Rockville, Maryland the other day, a 14-year-old girl? How many Kate Steinleys are we going to have? I mean, how many women have we had, mothers on this program, that lost their children to illegal immigrants that were criminals in the system, and we didn't send home because we're so stupid? You'll meet a father, Steve Ronnebeck, on the program today. It's his son. It would be his son, I believe, 24th birthday today. And his son, Grant Ronnebeck, he's working at a convenience store. Oh, okay. Well, he could have been out selling drugs. He could have been out being a bum. But no, he works overnight, going to school, doing the right thing. And the kid, over a pack of cigarettes gets robbed by a guy and then gets shot and murdered in the convenience store. And then we find out the guy that did it had kidnapped and raped a woman and kept her prisoner for a week. Oh, why did we let that great person back into society? And then the media, now you've got, let's see, the L.A. mayor vowing Los Angeles will remain a sanctuary city. San Francisco, same thing. Illegals can roam free. Same thing in Chicago. They don't have enough crime problems in Chicago. So illegal immigrants, you know what this is? It's called aiding and abetting. That's what it's called. That's what it is. Aiding and abetting criminal activity. Anyway, 800-941-SEAN. We're going to get to that later in the program today. Newt Gingrich will join us today. We'll get his take on where to go from health care from here. This health care thing, and I know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't even want to talk about it because it was so mishandled from the get-go. It's beyond frustrating. It's almost unforgivable to me. It's like after 8 years, you say you want the House will repeal and replace health care. You say you want the House and the Senate will repeal and replace health care. But we're not gonna use the power of the purse, our enumerated constitutional power, to do it. Anyway, so after 8 years, you would think these guys would have been a little bit more prepared. Why they kept this bill in the House secret? Why they let nobody see it? Why there were rumors swirling for 2 weeks leading up to the rollout of the bill, and we kept putting on people on this program, and they hear this tax is in it, this new entitlement's in it, this is in it, this is in it, this isn't what we promised, before they ever rolled it out. And then it gets rolled out, and everything they thought bad that was in there, and then they begin the negotiations, and now it becomes a public civil war almost, intramural fight between the Republicans. And this didn't have to happen. And all it does is it makes people think they're not prepared to lead. By the way, this is a moment I am holding them accountable because they suck and they blew it. Because people, Hannity, you never criticize the Republicans. Yeah, I do all the time. They're lame. This was pathetic. Now, with that said, do I think ultimately they get there? Yeah. Do I think it's going to be perfect? No. All this criticism of the Freedom Caucus, for example, I'm like, well, what about the problem the president described happened? And unfortunately for him, I don't blame the president here. He's the executive branch. He lays out a big vision. Repeal, replace Obamacare with a system that's built upon free market, competition, capitalism, that factors in things like pre-existing conditions, buying across state lines, taking it job to job, portability. All of those principles he lays out. Now it's the legislative role of government to write the legislation and get it passed. And so anyway, so they dump this thing. Nobody's seen it. And then the president has to jump in and try and rescue this thing. That's not his job to have to do that. But he did it anyway, and he got pretty darn close to actually getting it across the finish line. At the end of the day, it's not the bill that would have passed in the Senate anyway. And I don't think the American people really give two rips about what cloture and the Byrd rule and reconciliation is. As a matter of fact, if I did a test of you calling in right now, most of you wouldn't get the answers right. I've explained it repeatedly on the program because this audience is smarter than the average bear that's listening to, heavy metal music right now on some other radio station or rap music or some idiotic morning show that isn't funny. I know you're smarter than they're not funny. These guys think they're funny. And by the way, you hear these ripping, hey, Joe, look at this. And they rip and read a comedy service that wrote the jokes for them. There are truly funny people on the radio. Rick and Bubba are truly funny. Stern is really funny. Imus is funny when he wants to be. Bernie is really funny. He's naturally funny. These are good people. These are nice guys. And very entertaining, different than what we do. I wonder if any of them know what cloture, the Byrd rule, and reconciliation is. I have no idea. Anyway, so it's frustrating, but there is an answer to it. Take the principles, free market competition, and roll it out and explain what it means. Explain what healthcare cooperatives are. Bring in Dr. Josh Umber. I think we've made Dr. Umber really famous now in the country. I mean, he has now senators, congressmen, former speakers calling this guy, governors calling him. And does he hate us for doing this to him, or does he like that we do it for him?
He loves it.
He does?
I mean, I think, Dr. Josh is one of those guys who really does want to help people. So I think he's just kind of like overwhelmed that he's like, well, this is common sense. I'm so glad you guys are so excited about it.
Well, he was able to duplicate it. What did he tell us? Almost 1,000 times because people came.
Yeah, he gives people the model for the cooperative, and they're able to take it and then do that in their states and with their practices.
It's so smart. Now, my doctor doesn't think it would work as well in New York for a lot of different reasons. And then you got this, we've conditioned people, especially young people. They don't even want to pay a $10 copay. That's offensive to them. A $10 copay or a $50 copay. I'm like, I'll be honest, I don't understand this mindset. If you need stitches, if you break a leg, an arm, whatever happens, pull a ligament, you need an X-ray, you need an MRI. I mean, that's all standard stuff. And he's been able to reduce the cost. What did he say? 48 cents an X-ray? And he gets pharmaceuticals at 95% discounts because he negotiates directly with each pharmaceutical company and dispenses the drugs, which is legal in about 40 states. The doctor can give it to you right in his office, which, by the way, takes away the cut of the local drugstore. I'm sure they probably don't like it, but it's better for the patient. And then an MRI is like pennies on the dollar, and they can take care of pretty much everything but a major hemorrhage in your brain or cancer. Although they get cancer drugs, chemo drugs, that's 95% off retail. I mean, these are really good ideas. And if you explain to people, okay, we're going to allow Josh Umber like Atlas MD like cooperatives to be built all across the country. This is what our bill is. The average patient around the country is going to pay $50 a month, unlimited care, unlimited doctor visits. And if you need an antibiotic, you get your antibiotic. You need your stitches, you get your stitches. You need your pharmaceuticals for your blood pressure, for your cholesterol, you get that. You need a birth control pill, you get that. If you need, pain medicine, which so many people beg for, I stay away from those pain pills. I've never taken a prescribed pain pill in my life. I'm scared to death. I know doctors and lawyers. I mean, I know so many people. Percocet, Vicodin, OxyContin, they get addicted. I know people for legitimate health reasons are like in really bad pain. They've had back operations. They're flat on their back. They can't move. They get it operated on. They take a bottle of OxyContin, and the next thing you know is they're looking on the streets to buy more, or they're going doctor shopping to get more. It's crazy, and it's so overprescribed. I know somebody got a tooth pulled and got a full bottle of OxyContin. I'm like, throw it out. Throw it in the garbage. Throw it down the toilet. Every tooth in my head I've had drilled without Novocaine. Take a little pain. Suck it up a little bit. I'm not saying all of you. I prefer to do that. I hate that feeling of numbness. I don't like it. The doctor, I hate that. So recently I was getting a root canal. I know. I go to this guy in Long Island. That's all he does is root canals. He's so good. I mean, and he wasn't there. His partner did it, and he almost did it as the same record time. And I'm getting the root canal, and the guy goes, no, I really need to numb you. And I'm no, you don't. No, I really need to numb you. And I'm like, no, you don't. He goes, are you sure? I'm like, let's go. Come on, do it. It doesn't hurt. They take the nerve out in 5 seconds. There's no pain. And it's just sound of the drill, I think, that freaks everybody out. But anyway, back to my point, there are different ways that we can do this and get this done. And I just think we've now got to go back to the drawing board. And my only advice for these dopey Republicans in Washington, and back to the liberal moderates that have Hillary Clinton victories in their district, they're the ones that are scared to death of getting rid of Obamacare, and they're putting their own personal, political ambitions above what's the right thing to do. If you're a Republican, I assume you believe in free markets. If you're a Republican, you believe in competition. If you're a Republican, you believe in limited government. If you're a Republican, you're not supposed to believe in top-down government-run anything. So anyway, hopefully we'll get it done, and hopefully they'll get their act together, and hopefully things will move along. It's beyond frustrating to me that they blew this as poorly as they did. There's a lot of talk about how, Donald Trump's in a mess. I don't see it at all. The media just wants him to fail. They're focused, and I'll get into this in the next half hour. They're focused, they're fixated on Russia, and there's no evidence. There is a Russia controversy. There is a Russian scandal, but it's really Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, Bill Clinton, the money they received, and how a quid pro quo was given. They gave up 20% of America's uranium. This is the Uranium One deal that we have discussed in detail. We'll get to that later, but, I don't want to minimize what happened on Friday. I'm glad they're going back to the drawing board. I hope they get it right this time. And for now, Obamacare remains the law of the land. I think it's going to be repealed and replaced. And if it's not, that is the Republicans' failure through and through. You can't blame the Democrats for it. But we can't let these fake news Democratic media get away with pretending this is the end of the world. It's not. It's a setback. It's not that big a deal because that's all we heard all weekend. Trump has nothing whatsoever to show for his months in office. That's total BS. In 67 days, he's accomplished far more good things for America than Obama did in his entire 8 years. But if you watch the mainstream media, Ted Koppel, you wouldn't know how bad Obama's 8 years were. If you listen to this program, you would. You'd be able to recite it in your sleep because I said it every day. Anyway, they love to point out that Obama got a stimulus bill through by the end of his first month in office, but what they don't point out is that Obama's stimulus bill was $1 trillion wasted money that created zero real jobs in the private sector. And this president is personally negotiating, deals that are going to literally create hundreds of thousands of millions of new jobs. The latest information we have is that Ford is now going to invest in Michigan again, and they're going to build 3 factories there. That's massive for this country, especially the Detroit area, which has been decimated as they have. The Trump budget is dramatically cutting the EPA. He went forward with the Dakota pipeline. He went forward with the Keystone pipeline. He's getting rid of burdensome regulation here and again. He's got a plan now to actually battle ISIS. He's moving forward with building the wall. Pretty soon, Judge Gorsuch is going to be on the Supreme Court. Illegal immigration has gone down more in the last 60 days than in the last 5 years. So that's a pretty good 67 days in office. And I have no doubt that the president is probably going to call in all these Republicans and tell them to get their beep together and get their job done and not leave him hanging in the lurch like they did last week. It's pretty simple stuff. It's so frustrating to me that they didn't think that maybe they should build consensus before they unleash this bill. It's so stupid to me.
Prices are for base buildings only. Do not include windows, doors, or accessories. Warning! Don't let your business get left behind in what is likely to be the biggest economic boom in recent history. If you need to build to grow your business, call General Steel today. Steel prices are expected to rise, but you can still lock in your price on a General Steel building if you call now. For example, a 40 by 60 foot building is still less than $25,000. Even an 80 by 150 foot building is under $99,000. Imagine 12,000 square feet for under $99,000. land. This building is designed for your needs, no wasted space. And you get the General's quality and 50-year structural warranty at a price you can afford. You can still save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction by calling General Steel today. As much as half. So don't let rising steel prices put your project out of reach and stop you from making your company great. Call now. 877-81-STEEL. It's not too late. Call 877-81-STEEL. That's 877-817-8335.
All right, as we roll along, there was an article in the Daily Caller, back to healthcare, and it says that Paul Ryan literally was begging his fellow Republican House members to vote for the Obamacare replacement bill. And according to the detailed account in the Washington Post, he got down on a knee to plead with Representative Don Young Thursday night before they were supposed to vote, and he was still undecided. And when he finished with Young, he spent 10 minutes in an animated discussion with Mo Brooks. Mo Brooks was a guy I've known from Huntsville, Alabama days, and he has a one-sentence health care bill. As of December 31st, we fully repeal Obamacare. It's not a bad way to start. And it's frustrating. If he would have at least brought these people into the process and shown them the bill beforehand, he wouldn't have to get down on his knees. And it was really a bigger blow when the Senate parliamentarian, who's now publicly refuting Ryan's claim that she refused to allow all three phases of Obamacare repeal and replacement to be voted on under the rules of reconciliation. And that's another blow, because that was one of the main selling points there. He claimed that the rules allowed only phase one. I never understood this three-phase thing. Do the job. Do it. Anyway, to be voted on under reconciliation was a key factor in undermining support for the bill because, frankly, these Republican conservatives, they don't trust leadership anymore, especially after Boehner and all they've been through. You always get the tax increase. You never get the spending cut. You always get the amnesty. You never get the wall built. And it's frustrating. My buddy DeRoy Murdoch wrote on National Review that throughout the debate, the House Republican leadership depicted the Senate parliamentarian as a cruel, individual eager to smack her yardsticks across the knuckles of any GOP effort to give Obamacare a full-throated repeal and replacement that Republicans promised for years. But it turned out to be totally overblown because the Senate parliamentarian, Elizabeth McDonough, seemed like a fair-minded judge. And what I understood her to be saying is there's no way that an Obamacare repeal bill necessarily could not have provisions repealing the health insurance regulation. So apparently she's saying, contradicting, that it all could have been done at once. Now, this is just ridiculous. Let's get this job done. Good grief. So frustrating to me. I'm sitting here. Where's their urgency to work? We'll continue. All right, 25 now till the top of the hour. I'm going to get to this real Russia conspiracy thing here in a second. All right, so Ethan is getting married on Saturday or on Sunday? When do you get married?
Sunday.
And how long you been dating Juliet, Romeo?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. How come I've never met her?
You actually did meet her.
Oh, that's right. We met her at Langen's that one night, right?
No, at your TV studio and at Langen's, actually.
Yeah, okay. So I was right. Why is she marrying you? Is she been drinking a lot lately, or what's going on?
Probably.
All right. Are you sure she's the one?
Yes.
All right. So I give this option to everybody on the show. I gave it to Alicia when she was marrying Romeo, and I gave it to Linda. Although if I would have known Lenny was going to wear sneakers, I would have gone. Nobody told me that you could wear sneakers to the wedding because I hate getting all dressed up and going to this stupid wedding.
First of all, I never invited you. Let's just start there.
Well, you're lying because I gave you the option on the
I
air.
will
We've
play
got
the
tape.
I will play the tape.
You said you wanted the money.
I did not invite you because I knew that you were going to cry like a little girl and say you didn't want to go to the wedding.
I never want to go to a wedding. You know how I feel
and
about
then
weddings and funerals.
You got so mad. You got so mad.
So mad.
Oh, I can't believe you didn't invite me. I mean, the least you could do was invite me.
But
so what did I do? I invited you.
All right.
What a waste of paper.
Okay, next question. And I gave you the same choice. I gave Alicia the same choice. I'm going to give Ethan the choice. Either a really big gift of money. Did I give you a nice gift?
It was beautiful.
When the baby was born, did I not send over the entire registry?
Gorgeous.
I think I got everything but one item.
There was a few items.
No, I didn't get the item.
Well, one item you didn't get.
I don't buy breast pumps. I'm not doing it. It's too creepy.
But Sean Hannity's hair did buy it for me.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was so funny on Twitter. So
And the card was on Sean Hannity's hair.
You know, the problem is that, number one, I don't like to get dressed up. If I knew Lenny was going to wear sneakers, I would have gone to that because that has to be a cool wedding. And you let your husband wear sneakers. That is like the coolest gift any wife can give her husband. And you say, Hannity, why would you want to wear sneakers? It's the point. I don't want to be dressed by a woman ever in my life. I can dress myself. I like 505 Levi's jeans. I've been wearing them my whole life, the same freaking size for all these years, and golf shirts and T-shirts, and that's it, and baseball hats. And I can't wear a baseball hat and sweatpants and Levi's and a golf shirt to a wedding, and it sucks. I have to wear it an hour a day. Anyway, so you're getting married on Sunday. Congratulations. And my question for you is, would you prefer the big gift or do you want me to attend? It's your choice.
I'll take the money. I see you every day. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want me there?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have you there, but But
by the way, you're 4,000 miles out in Montauk in Long Island for this wedding, right?
Pretty much.
It's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm not driving 4 hours for anybody.
No, we don't. I don't blame you.
Will you send a chopper?
Will you send a chopper for me, you mean?
All right, so you're choosing the money and the gift.
I think you should poll the callers.
All right, let's go real quick, but we're just going to ask one question. All right, Paul, should I give him a big check or go? It's 4 hours away. Paul,
4 hours away.
What do you think, Paul?
I think you should go 4 hours away to Montauk.
Dude, you're killing me. I'm never coming back to you. Vicky in Pittsburgh, what do you think?
Yes, hi.
What
How
do
are you?
Go to the wedding or give him a big check?
I'll give him a big check.
Good for you. Mike in St. Louis, money or go drive 4 hours to something I hate?
Take the money.
Take the money. Pat in the Villages in Florida. Pat, I need you, Pat.
Take the money.
Take the money. Right, take the money. I mean, it's. And by the way, it's a very generous gift. Eric,
I'm sure it is. You're always very generous.
All right, so Eric in Texas, what do you say?
Man, take the money.
What did you say?
Take the money.
Take the money. And by the way, isn't it? I'm being nice doing that, right? Because listen, I go there, and then it's your day. And here's the thing: when you are quote a celebrity, people then they want pictures with me, and it's your day. It's not my day. It's not about me this day. And I usually get in a corner and I don't move. And not that people aren't being nice. I don't want attention drawn to me when it's your special day. It's your special day.
If you were going to come, we were actually going to hire security. No joke.
All right, but that's stupid. You don't need to hire security because I'm going to your wedding.
It was just me. I was just going to wear a dress and look really scary. It's fine.
Are you going?
Yes, I'm going.
Lauren, are you going? Yeah, you're going. Jason, are you going to give a day at Coyote Ugly and go?
Oh, yeah, I'm going.
The free drinks, of course you're going. I mean, you're going there for the drinks and the
Don't make
babes.
me sound like I'm an alcoholic. Oh, free drinks. Oh, that's why you're going.
You know what the funny? I don't know what it is. So all those years, I used to work as a bartender at Salisbury on the Green. It's now had the name change at Eisenhower Park in Long Island. I used to do 5 weddings a weekend. 1 on Friday night, 2 on Saturday, 1 in the day, 1 at night, and 2 on Sunday. I made a fortune. I mean, I'd come home with piles of cash. Because all you got to do, there's 15 Uncle Joes at the wedding that keep them coming, buddy, keep them coming. And I'm like, all right, good, I'll keep them coming, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. And they hit you with a 20, and, you go home a rich man. And I learned something about weddings. And, Jason, you're going to love this part. I don't know what it is. Everybody at a wedding, if it's not your wedding, they want to hook up with somebody. They want to be making out with somebody at the end of the night. No,
Are you saying I'm going to be an active participant at his wedding? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that you have a good shot of actually meeting a decent girl rather than these whatever girls you're meeting at Coyote Ugly every night. Linda, how many weddings did you used to sing when you were busy singing with the band?
I've probably done over 3,000 weddings.
Exactly. So I've done over 3,000 weddings that I attended at bar. Am I wrong in that observation?
No, I mean, there's always somebody really special there.
No, well, but no, all these people that are single, they just get like the itch and the bug. And so and then they drink.
Love is in the air.
Love is in the air because you're singing. But then they get the itch and the bug, and then they want to go find the other person, and they want to make out.
A little vodka, a little bug, a little itch, a little love. Anything can happen.
Little music, little dancing.
Itch and a bug. That's really romantic.
I'm telling you.
What do I need? Ointment, too, when I'm going there?
Whatever you say, Jason. I have no idea what you do at Coyote Ugly. That's your business.
Sean, we just got an email from Dr. Josh, by the way.
Oh, no.
He tells Ethan to take the money.
Take the money. It's. I'll give you. What did I give you, Linda? I don't even remember.
A lot.
A lot. Like did I give you more than 5,000?
Is that appropriate for air?
I don't know.
think
I don't
so.
remember. I'll give you $5,000 not to go to the wedding.
It's so inappropriate.
Why should I be dishonest with my audience? My audience
It's not about
expects
dishonesty.
They
It's about
expect me.
discretion,
They
decorum.
expect me to hold Washington accountable, and I'm ripping on
I
Republicans.
am holding you accountable
All
for
right.
decorum.
Okay, why should I be dishonest with the audience so they can have a full picture of what the real scenario is for him?
Do you want to Rachel Maddow his wedding gift?
What's that?
You're letting the audience know exactly how much he's going to get?
No, I need a 40-minute lead up to nothing. That's what that is.
We'll put a big sign up.
I'll put a big sign up.
Big promo, Scott Shannon liners.
Yeah, 40-minute build up to, oh, I'm sending you a $100 check for your wedding. Well, listen, here's the honest truth. At the end of the day, new couples, what they really need is money. You know, you ever see those old like mafia movies and gangster movies? You know, and it's wedding day, and all of a sudden, here you go, darling. Look, hey, put this in your pocket. It's good. It's good. Take that and take care of the kids. Take care of the kids. Bills, put a little bit away. I'm sort of doing that for you. But you know what? Because you need the money, and you want to buy a house, and you want a nice car, and you want to build a future. So, you know, for me to go there for 25 minutes, because I'm not staying longer than 25 minutes if I do go. I'll just spend more time in the car. If you made me drive 8 hours on a Sunday, I am going to hate you on Monday because I'll feel my one day off is wasted.
No, because he's not going to be here on Monday.
I would hate him. I'd talk about him.
You'll hate him on Tuesday.
I'll hate him whenever he gets. How many weeks honeymooning thing you taking?
I'm going the week after.
You're not doing any honeymoon?
No, we're going the week after because she's a teacher.
Listen. My honeymoon was the worst. I had just taken a new job in Atlanta. I didn't have vacation time. I went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We got married in Huntsville. Went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I lived in Atlanta. We went there for the weekend. That was it. I was back at work on Monday. That was
Tell you, man, you're all romance.
We
today.
passed right by Dollywood on the way.
Bugs and itching and Gatlinburg.
Yeah, I know. Well, first of all, I was broke because my wife 3 days before the wedding hit me with $20,000 worth of credit card bills, which she now romantically refers to as marketing expenses, which I think is a pretty funny line. And so I was only making in Huntsville $19,000 a year. I was just like radio gypsy going from town to town.
Is there anything else you want to share about the backstory? This is what, boy, I can't wait to see her face when you get home.
Oh,
boy.
we tell this story all the time. Everybody laughs. Everybody, and especially goes, they were just marketing expenses. No big deal. At the time, I was like, what? You know, because I was like pinching my pennies, saving everything I could, living in a dumpy apartment. You know what I had in that apartment those years? I can tell you what I was in Athens, Alabama, next to Dan Wachtel Ford. Right across the street from the radio station. There was a Cracker Barrel right next door, and I loved that place. But anyway, I had a twin bed in my one-bedroom apartment. I paid $300 a month for this apartment. I had a twin bed. I had one laminated, dresser that I paid nothing for. I bought on the side of the road on Route 72 in Huntsville. I stopped at this guy made dining room tables and chairs. So it was basically pine wood that was stained. And I bought 4 chairs and a little table for $100. Then I bought a used couch for $75. I put it in the back of my van at the time because I still had a construction van. And I got it home and it reeked of smoke. It was horrific. And they had a dog, which I didn't know about. So I threw that out and I had the TV sitting on a box. That was it. That's all I owned at the time of my life. Why are you looking at me like that's pathetic? I was happy. It didn't bother me. I didn't give a rip. And I did buy a grill to grill steaks on, like a little cheap one. It was great. I was happy. You don't need money to be happy. All right. I digress here. By the way, congratulations. Best of luck. We're very proud of you. I think she is making the biggest mistake of her life. But that's
definitely. I keep telling her, you are going way down. You have no idea what you're doing.
Nah, Ethan's a good guy. And, and could we talk about your private life and your vows that you made before you got married?
No, we're not doing that. We've had enough today. We're good. We've shared plenty.
All right, enough
We've
sharing
actually
for the day?
overshared. We're good.
You guys are all laughing. Stop it. By
We're
the way,
all laughing with each other.
I hope Sunshine over here gets ready because it's going to be much worse for her because he's got to go through me to get to her because I'll kill him if he doesn't treat her well. All right, so let me go to this phony story. Donald Trump today, good for him, tweeted out, why isn't the House Intelligence Committee looking into Bill and Hillary's deal that allowed big uranium? He's not talking about big uranium to go to Russia. Bill Clinton getting $500,000 paychecks from Russia, twice his normal speaking fee. And then he added, and Bill, the Hillary Russian reset. And what about the Podesta Russian company? What about the Trump Russia hoax? You know what? It's so true what he's saying here. And it's unbelievably amazing to me that Devin Nunes is in trouble for what? Getting information that the president-elect was surveilled? That's a good thing. Now we need to find out who was doing the surveilling. And as former CIA officer Colonel Tony Shaffer said, he thinks this wiretapping case of Trump is going to be bigger than Watergate. He said it's exponentially worse than Watergate, and I agree with him. And then you have a former assistant FBI director saying the fifth column is marching strong against Trump. Now, if you look at the Uranium One deal, this was a big deal because what you had is, you know, you got all these people, this Canadian guy, Frank Giestra, going to Kazakhstan with Bill Clinton. Days later, his company wins a major uranium deal with the country. He donates $31 million to the Clinton Foundation in 2006. In 2007, his business merges with Uranium One and expands into the U.S. And the Uranium One and his company investors donate $8.65 million to the Clinton Foundation. And then Hillary Clinton has to sign off on the deal that allowed the Russians to get 20% of America's uranium, which, of course, we use for building nuclear weapons. Then you got Democratic lobbyist Tony Podesta. He grossed more than $500,000 to represent a Chinese company criminally convicted in March of sending illegal shipments and telecom equipment to Iran. Whoopsie daisy. And they're talking about Trump in Russia. How about we go after these guys? I'm going to lay this out in my opening monologue on Hannity tonight. We're also going to have Newt Gingrich on at the top of the next hour, and we'll get to all of this. One interesting side note is Pat Leahy says that he's probably not going to filibuster Gorsuch. I wonder if we can get to cloture and they won't have to use the nuclear option. That'll be interesting to watch. I doubt it. So the alt-left propaganda, destroy Trump news media, fake news media, they love reporting on polls that show, the president's approval rating is sinking like a rock. But, of course, these are the same pollsters that said Hillary was going to win in November. But I think something else may be going on. There was a column by Selena Zito. She's a really good writer from Pittsburgh. We love her. Anyway, while the pundits are breathlessly reporting that Trump's Gallup approval rating went to 37 points, not all approval ratings are created equal. Because, for example, if you look at the president in rural America and red states, he's loved. If you look at, cities, he's not loved. All right, Newt Gingrich next on what the Republicans need to do on health care and much more. Straight ahead. All right, hour two, Sean Hannity Show. Our toll-free telephone number. You want to join us is 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. So much on our plate today. The real Russia conspiracy story, which, of course, goes to the issue of Uranium One and John Podesta and all the money that went into the Clinton Foundation and all the money that went to the Clintons themselves and how we gave up 20%, the rights of 20% of our uranium to Russia, while Hillary Clinton had to sign off as Secretary of State, is probably the far bigger scandal, but, of course, the media ignores it. Anyway, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, is with us. All these years you've known me, did you know I was bad for America?
I thought that was hysterical. And of course, given his value system, he's right. I mean, you're a conservative. Ted's a liberal. I
thought you were going to defend me. I thought you'd be on my
absolutely. Side. I am on your side. That's my point. If you're Ted Koppel and you're watching you demolish liberalism, he flinches. I bet he flinches every time he watches your show.
Listen, I could tell you, I know for a fact CBS was in convulsion mode yesterday, trying to figure out how to deal with me and and me demanding they release the entire interview. Can you imagine? Now, listen, you've sat for a lot of these interviews that are cut and pasted and edited and sliced and diced. So you've been through this experience, I'm sure, many times. But, I mean, 70 seconds of a 50-plus minute interview, and it really makes him look the best he can possibly look. I'm like, Ted, really?
No, it's pathetic, but it's exactly what they do. It's why I used to have a ground rule. I would never do 60 minutes unless they agreed to air it unedited, and they would never agree to air it unedited.
Well, that's from now on. I'm in the same camp as you. You know, I knew this going in, and Linda's looking at me, shaking her head, because she begged me not to do the interview. And I said, I've known Ted a lot of years. Yeah, he's probably going to screw me, but I'll do it anyway. I made the one exception, and I'm so stupid. Why did I waste my time?
Well, because hope springs eternal. Yeah,
I know. But, you know, I think this has been a really edifying moment, though, because you know about how this works. They'll tape 20 hours for a 60-minute segment, and then they'll end up running 13 minutes, maybe of you, maybe 4 minutes, and it will make you look any way they want to make you look.
Right.
They've gotten away with this game.
It's a good lesson for the whole country to learn that what you're dealing with in fake media is people who routinely rig the game on their side, routinely.
Well,
you just have me one of the most prominent victims.
Well, but I'm also somebody that can fight back. I have my own platforms. I don't need CBS to. And the problem is the average person does not have this platform to fight back. They're screwed. And they live with,
right.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the health care bill first and the agenda. My sources within Washington, and I know this for a fact, behind the scenes, I think they're going to go do what I originally suggested, which is take it behind closed doors, build consensus, and when you have a bill that the Freedom Caucus can live with, the study group can live with, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday groups can live with, and the moderates can live with, then they'll unveil the bill. Until then, I think it should be kept private and work on it behind the scenes.
And I think they need to be willing to just erase it, start from the ground, and build it back up.
I agree with that, too.
I don't think they should stay trapped in the current model. And frankly, I'm very concerned that they're going to try to be clever because the way they've structured this with having to go to the Senate reconciliation rules, having CBO score at the Congressional Budget Office, they put themselves in so many boxes. I don't see how they get to a positive outcome.
So the better way would be to do what? To just forget reconciliation?
No. Yeah, I would. Look, here's the deal. My newsletter today, I talk about what went wrong, and then I talk about where they should go from here based on principles that I learned from Eisenhower, Reagan, and Thatcher. The first thing they got to do is define the end state. Why are we doing this? What will your health be like if we succeed? Because what you ended up with is the Democrats are beating their brains out on substance, and they're talking parliamentary procedure. Well, the bill collapsed to 17% approval because nobody understood anything they were doing.
Nobody knows. So most people in America don't understand the Byrd rule. They don't know what cloture is, and they have no idea what reconciliation is.
Right, and by the way, they don't want to know any of that because that's not their job. What they want to know is, am I going to be able to get health care? Am I going to be able to afford the health care? Why should I trust you if you say yes to both of those? Show me how it's going to work. And my Aunt Sally has a precondition. Is she going to be okay? I mean, the health care really matters because it's life and death, and it's everybody's pocketbook. So I would argue the first thing they need to do is redesign their communications, or actually invent one because they don't have one. They need a communication strategy that explains where we're going to get to when this is all over. Because what they kept saying was every time somebody would raise a problem, they say, well, trust us, we're going to fix it in the second and third phases. Well, the country just elected Donald J. Trump because they don't trust any of these guys. So if you say, trust me, the average voter goes, no. That's exactly where I've been before, and I ain't doing it again. And that's what they got hung up in.
Have you told them this?
Well, I'm putting out 1,400 words this afternoon that pretty well tells them that. I've shared it at the White House, and I'm very happy if the conference wants me to come up and talk to them, or if the Freedom Caucus wants me to come up and talk to them, I'll come up and talk to them. And as you will remember because you were there, I have done some of this stuff before.
Yeah, there is a little bit of success and experience. You and I know healthcare has been a big issue for you over the years, and I remember for many, many years now you've devoted a lot of time and study to it. There are so many great new creative paradigms that could be implemented that people would understand. I use the Atlas MD example in Wichita, Kansas, only because it's been duplicated, about 800 times around the country. And that is $50 a month, unlimited care, concierge care. Your drugs come directly from the doctor, this guy Josh Umber, because he negotiates directly with the pharmaceutical companies. You pay 48 cents for an X-ray. You pay next to nothing for an MRI. Your kids are $10 a month, unlimited care. And then if you want to add a catastrophic plan, if, God forbid, you have a heart attack, get cancer, or get in a bad accident, well, you can do that rather inexpensively with a medium-high deductible, right?
Yes, it's a model that'll work.
Yeah, well, then why doesn't anyone listen to me? I think you and the Mississippi governor and Senator Tom Cotton are the only three people that ever called Dr. Unger.
See, he is one of many examples that the House Republicans could be learning from that would give them a bill that was dramatically more acceptable to the American people.
Do you know how angry, though, people are that after 8 years, repeal, replace, give us the House, give us the Senate, give us the presidency? You know how angry are that people see them that they were so ill-prepared for this moment? I'm angry.
Yeah. Well, I think people almost have to be angry.
Yeah, because it's pathetic. It's pathetic.
It is unbelievable how it collapsed. It's unbelievable that they would walk that far out on the edge of the tree limb and not realize that they weren't ready for prime time. And that's part of what happened.
By the way, I told these people, some of these very important people, that this was going to happen. They wouldn't listen to me. By the way, I don't blame the president for this. The president ended up having to do all the heavy lifting because the coalition was never built before they rolled out the bill. I mean, nobody got to see the bill before they unveiled it. What is that?
And the president had been reassured over and over again that it was all taken care of. It was all going to work.
Well, why then is he mad at the Freedom Caucus and not the people that screwed this up?
Because the people that threw it up are very clever, and they promptly told him it would all have worked except for them, as opposed to the Freedom Caucus may have done them a great service, because the truth is, that it really wasn't ready for prime time. And look, I spent 16 years of my life helping elect the first Republican majority in 40 years. When I watch somebody try to bring up a bill at 17% approval, I say to myself, this is a killing machine. And this, if the other team, if you vote for this, the other team's going to find 9 things to kill you with. And I think had they voted that Friday, they might well have lost their majority at the next election. That's how dangerous I think this is.
Have you told them that? By the way, this is you.
Yeah, well, I told them that day.
This is you and me holding them accountable. A lot of people say, well, Hannity, you never go after Republicans. I do all the time. I mean, I think it's unforgivable that they weren't prepared for this moment. After 8 years, give us the House, give us the Senate, give us the White House. And you know what? The president is new to this game. He's the executive branch. It's not his job to do the heavy lifting. They dumped it all on him.
Right. That's exactly right. And I'm hoping, and I've been urging them to bring up infrastructure and taxes in parallel, because they can build a very large Trump majority around infrastructure. And from the Democrats willing to work with them on infrastructure, they can start finding some people to work with them on taxes. And as they get those two done, they can go back to health. But if they try to rush the health bill again, I think that they won't have won the communications war. The country won't understand what they're doing. And I think that they will run the same risks.
All right, stay right there. We'll have more with former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. All right, as we continue, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, is with us. All right, so let me move on to this. For 8 months, Mr. Speaker, we've been hearing about Trump campaign, Russia, collusion, and there's not been a shred of evidence, not one. Now, we do know that felonies were committed by releasing secret information and intelligence to the press, et cetera. In the case of Michael Flynn is a great example. There really is, though, and the president tweeted out this morning, there really is a Russia-Clinton scandal that people really should know about. And that, of course, is this Uranium One deal, where Bill Clinton is literally making a fortune giving speeches for twice his normal fee in Russia, in Moscow, and then all of this money from all these people associated with this deal that allowed 20% of America's uranium to be controlled by Russia. And Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation end up getting millions and millions of dollars in donations from the people involved in this deal. Now, the last time I checked, and you're the scholar on the program, isn't uranium used to build nuclear bombs? And why, if money is given to Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation in terms of millions of dollars, why, if we really want a Russia connection to a campaign, why isn't that front page news? And why is the 8 months of innuendo with no evidence still on the front pages?
Well, because the Clintons, this will come as a great shock to you. The Clintons are liberals. And as liberals, they can have done no wrong. Trump is a conservative. And as a conservative, he can have done no right. So if you're the New York Times and you have to investigate a person who can have done no wrong, or a person who you know always does things wrong, of course you go to Trump. Look, even today there's an article that John Podesta, the chairman of the Clinton campaign, his brother represented for $500,000 a Chinese company which had been sanctioned for breaking the trade with Iran against the official sanctions. So why is it that the Podestas aren't, that we don't look at the Podestas? I mean, I find this whole thing to be so totally phony that it's just amazing to me that it has been sustained the way it has been. And of course, almost all of it is based on nothing. So, I would love to see it. And what's infuriating, of course, is you have a Republican chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, a Republican chair of the House Intelligence Committee. Where is the investigation of the Podestas and the Clintons and everything they've done?
Do you know that Sarah Carter and John Solomon and now James Rosen and even now other reporters have all confirmed that there was surveillance of Donald Trump through November, December, and January at least, and that national security, quote, concerns may have been a ruse to surveil the incoming president? I mean, how dangerous is that to you?
Well, I think the whole experience where it's very clear that the Obama administration, I think, had to have had the approval of President Obama, deliberately changed the rules so that, and our audience needs to understand this, unverified rumors would be circulated in the intelligence community in a way which maximized the likelihood that they were going to be leaked. Now, that wasn't an accident, and that's exactly what was going on, and you were exactly right. These are all felonies. Every single one of them is illegal, and yet you don't see the outcry to find out who are the pro-Obama, pro-Clinton bureaucrats who are breaking the law routinely, and that's a real problem for America. I mean, it's much more than just a political problem.
But they're out to really destroy him. You agree with me? This is I call alt-left propaganda, destroy Trump media. They want to destroy him.
That's exactly right.
Is he in danger?
At a minimum, get him out of the White House. At a maximum, find a way to get him in jail. I mean, I don't think that
I'm running out of time.
I'm worried about the White House team, by the way, because I don't think they understand how real this is.
It is real. I agree with you. All right, we'll have more on this tonight. Mr. Speaker, thank you for being with us as always.
Great. Look forward to tonight.
All right, 800-941-SEAN is our number. When we come back, we'll hit the phones toll free. It's 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. I am dangerous to America. Be careful. Warn your children. We'll continue. All right, 25 now till the top of the hour, 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. At the top of the hour, news roundup, information overload. You're going to meet a father who lost his 21-year-old son. Happens to be his birthday today. I think he'd be 24. Steve Ronnebeck lost his son, Grant. You know what? Why do you got all these cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. They're all saying, okay, fine. We're going to be sanctuary cities. Oh, okay. I wonder if any of these politicians lost their kids. What about the 14-year-old girl raped in Rockville, Maryland? What about Kate Steinle and her father? What about this guy that you're going to meet at the top of the next hour, Steve Ronnebeck, who lost his son Grant? I've interviewed so many of these families that lost their kids to illegal immigrants, many of which were criminal aliens and had been released back into the towns and cities after they committed horrific crimes. In the case of Grant Ronnebeck, this guy had held a woman captive and raped her for a week. Gets out of jail, and we didn't send him back home. Unbelievable. So you have a New York. It doesn't get any more insane or liberal than New York, and a city council speaker, Melissa Mark Viverito was her name, says that the Trump administration plan to cut funding to sanctuary cities is insane. It's racist and will make us less safe. Listen.
That's insanity, but it's nothing new. The threats coming from this administration, it's fear-mongering, it's stereotyping, it's racist at its core. Nothing that we're doing is threatening our safety. It's making us a safer city when everyone feels that they're a part of it. And what they're threatening to do by forcing us and other cities like us to enact their irresponsible, ill-conceived policies is to make us less safe.
Excuse me, how does that make you less safe if you obey the laws of the land? What gives you the right to aid and abet criminal aliens? People that didn't respect our laws and sovereignty. It's insane where we're living right now. By the way, Keith Ellison is back in the news after his massive defeat in his pursuit. I was pulling for him. I wanted Screwy Louie's buddy to get the job as the head of the DNC, which I think would have been great for conservatives and Republicans all around the country. Of course, he's friends with a guy that thinks he was brought up to a mother wheel on a mother ship and that was hovering above the earth. But anyway, here's a question I have. This is more insanity about politics. So you spend your whole life working. If you live in New York City, for example, you pay New York state tax 10%. You pay 40% federal tax. Then you pay city taxes. Then you pay property taxes. Then you pay sales taxes. And it's about 62 cents of every dollar goes to government, depending on what deductions you may have if you're a business or whatever. So then after that money's taxed, you think, all right, I get to keep the other 38 cents for myself. No. If you save any money in the course of your life, well, back comes the federal government. They take another 40% or 50%, and then the state of New York takes another 10%. It is legalized stealing. And here's Democrat Keith Ellison, friend of Screwy Louie Farrakhan, saying the estate tax is appropriate.
So there are a number of ways we can work forward, and they're talking about tax reform right now. We think that there are a number of ideas we'd like to put forward in terms of tax reform. We do believe that an estate tax is an appropriate thing. If you don't have one, basically all you do is guarantee an aristocracy where one rich guy passes it on to his kids and so on down the line. But we also believe that there could be something with a transactions tax. The United States used to have one. Many states around the world have them. There are a number of things we can do to try to work together on tax reform now that that's a conversation that we've started.
So it's such a horrible thing that if you're in New York, the 38 cents that you get to keep after every dollar you make, then they're going to take another 50, 60% of what's left. Well, why would anybody be ever incentivized to save any money for anybody? It's so insane. I guess maybe Keith Ellison, maybe his job as a congressman is the most money he's ever going to make in his life. I mean, it's ridiculous. So he's not going to make any real money. You know how many congressmen that I know, Republicans, that actually sleep in their office, that they're taking such a hit serving their country? It's insane. They sleep in little blow-up cots. What do you call those things? Air mattresses. Yeah. Oh, so they want another bite of the apple. I swear they would take the gold out of your teeth if they could. Well, if there's gold in your teeth, that's valuable money. That should be part of the estate tax. Every funeral director around America is going to be ordered to check the teeth of any patient or any dead body that comes into their funeral home. And if there's any gold in that teeth, silver in that teeth, take it out. Rip those suckers out. Wow. Pretty sick. Then you go over to how insane the media's gotten. You got Chris Matthews earlier, last night, I guess, comparing Donald Trump's kids. Now, I guess Don and Eric, they're big boys. They can handle it. And by the way, congratulations to Eric. I saw an interview with on Fox and Friends this morning, and Eric and Lara are having their first child. Good for them. and they told their father on Inauguration Day. They told the president on Inauguration Day. So that was a pretty good extra special gift for him at a special time in his life. And, all right, so I guess you can go after those kids. But they've been picking on their daughter, Ivanka, to a really sick degree. And then they've been picking on a 10-year-old kid. And then they're picking on the first lady. I mean, these people have no shame. You know, there was a story about one of the Obama kids in the paper yesterday that I saw. Wasn't good for the kid. I didn't talk about it. I just leave them, let the family deal with it. Every kid does stupid stuff when they're 17, 18 years old. It's not easy being the child of a politician or president. Give the girl a break. Let her work out those teen years in peace without public scrutiny. It's none of my business what she does. I have no disagreements with her. She didn't put herself in the political eye. Why are we attacking children? Listen to Chris Matthews, Mr. Orgasm, Obamagasm, thrill up his leg.
The family went on a skiing vacation. I wish I had one this week to Aspen, a great place to go. And it was Eric and his sons, and all and of course, Jared, they're all along. Mm-hmm. Well, half that traveling family unit
is at Trump Tower.
Is running Trump's businesses. Yeah. And the other half is beginning to run the federal government.
Exactly.
And we're expected to believe they don't talk, and now we find out they are talking about business. Do you think this bothers the country to have sort of a Romanov royal family running the place?
I don't know.
Because let me just say, I kid about everything, but, Uday and Qusay working for Saddam Hussein, you couldn't go to a restaurant and have eye contact with one of these guys without getting killed. Well, these people are really powerful. Imagine getting into a fight in the office with Jared or Ivanka.
Well,
they have enormous power, and they're always going to be there.
Are you kidding me? Uday and Qusay, dictators and murdering thugs. You're going to compare the Trump kids to them, Chris? All right, he just lost it. These people have lost their minds. There is Trump derangement syndrome, and the media, they're all suffering from the shock of it. All right, let's get to our busy telephones here. Amy's in Colorado. By the way, I would never go to Aspen myself, and you know why? I went there once, Amy, and I got off the plane, and I'm like, I can't breathe. The air is so thin there, I'm never going back to Aspen. It was way too thin for me.
Well, you know what, Sean? You're bad for America anyway. So,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
I mean, why would, all the rich elites in Aspen, they're not going to want Hannity out there hanging out, even though I used to be a pretty good skier in my day.
Well, Sean, thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
Just wanted to say about the interview with Ted Koppel, I just had to laugh when he said that conservative talk radio was bad for America, because the liberal media, in my opinion, is what's really bad. And they think their facts are real when they're not, and they perpetuate them like facts to the American people. And that's not, to me, he was just trying to keep up with his cohorts in the media, just spreading.
There's this little incestuous cabal that exists. Yeah, have you ever heard me say, Amy, that I never have been to a White House Correspondents' Dinner?
Mm-hmm.
You know why I've never been there? Because I don't like those people, and they don't like me. That's why I don't go. I don't respect. But on the other hand, there's a part of me, Amy, tell me if you think I'm right here. If they weren't so bad, I wouldn't have all this opportunity to be successful. Maybe I should thank them all for being lazy and stupid.
I mean, I agree. I mean, they give us no, they don't tell us what we need to know. People like you tell us what we truly need to know about what's going on with our government, and everybody now with the WikiLeaks and with the election, we all know what's going on with the media now. So how could we even trust anything about them? And so, yeah, they've given us no choice.
Yeah.
Really, but. And it's their own fault.
Thanks, Amy. Listen, I relish this opportunity to expose this edited fake news game that they play, and the cutting and slicing and dicing that goes on in edit rooms. It's absolutely shameful. And they know they're doing it. They don't care. Back to our busy phones. Durham, North Carolina, and Robbie is standing by. Robbie, how are you? Glad you called, sir.
Hey, thanks, Sean, for taking my call. Man, I'm just talking more about this health care and all these other issues going on in the government. And I think it's time that Trump really start draining the swamp. Pull the plug and let's enact term limits. Let's bring it back up to the surface and start getting these politicians out of the office and getting some new thinkers and people that really want to be there, people that really want to make some change for this country and quit getting paid by the special interests.
You're making a great point. You're making a great point, and I'll tell you why. Because there's been so much criticism of the Freedom Caucus, but let me tell you what the moderates were afraid of in this negotiation. They were afraid because their districts are districts that Hillary Clinton won, and that means that they probably think they're vulnerable. And so their fear is if they repeal Obamacare because their districts voted for Hillary, well, then that's going to be a problem for them when their reelection comes up. Well, why aren't they highly criticized for demanding things that contradict what the Freedom Caucus wants? Frankly, I think they're more protective of their position, and the Freedom Caucus is more principled. Anyway, good call. Appreciate it, Robbie. 800-941-SEAN. Listen. All right, as we continue, toll-free, our telephone number is 800-941-SEAN. Staying with the phones, and at the top of the next hour, news roundup, information overload. All right, so you have these sanctuary cities, L.A., Chicago, San Francisco, New York. Oh, they're all saying they're going to fight back if the federal government cuts off their funds. Well, go fight back. Either obey the law or get out of the way. You're aiding and abetting law-breaking, and these people should have to answer to the parents that lose their kids or their kids are raped, which has all been in the news lately. And you're going to meet the father who lost his 21-year-old son. It actually happens to be his birthday today. Unbelievable. All right, to our phones. Ken is in Fort Wayne in Indiana next on the Sean Hannity Show. What's up? How are you, Ken?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for taking my call. I have two things that I'd like to talk with you about. One is Obamacare, and the other one is energy independence, so before we hang up. The Obamacare is that when Trump said that he was going to run for president, the moment he said it, I was all in because I believe he is just such a negotiator, and if there was one thing that we as Americans need is a negotiator in the White House. When he became president and all he was talking about, not all, but what he talked about was Obamacare, about replacing that, what he didn't do, in my eyes, is that he didn't prepare for this. He didn't put together a plan for this. And today, Obamacare is Trump care, in my eyes, because he didn't do his homework like he does on everything else and take control of it. That was my comment on this.
But let me answer you this way, because I have a very different take than you. And trust me, I'm holding everybody accountable. And if the president messes up, I'll be the first to call him out. Mm-hmm. One, you've got to remember that he's never been a politician. Two, the way he's done business is usually it's his way or the highway, get out of his office. And when you have 535 egomaniacs that love to be called congressman and senator, it's enormously more difficult. So the challenge is greater. But I don't think he's the one that was responsible here. I mean, in my opinion, before they've had 8 years, Republicans have. Donald Trump's the executive branch. This is the legislative branch. The legislative branch had their responsibility, their enumerated powers here, and they should have built a consensus bill long before Trump took the oath of office. It should have been a bill that everybody would agree to, and it should have been done behind closed doors. They released a bill that nobody saw, that everybody started fighting about in public, and it was mishandled. I mean, so, that, and Trump, to his credit, nearly even got it done, got it across the finish line, in spite of how poorly it was handled. Now, with that said, it's not dead. I've been saying I think they're going to end up getting it done. I think there's going to be a period here, but this was Paul Ryan's fault, and the leadership's fault. This was not Trump's fault. They did not build the consensus with the moderates, with the Freedom Caucus, with the Tuesday group, with the study group, the Thursday, Friday, Sunday groups. He should have built a consensus, and the White House, and one that dealt with reconciliation in the Senate, and one that dealt with the Byrd rule in the Senate, and one that dealt with, not needing a cloture vote in the Senate. So they didn't do their jobs. Now, with that said, I think this time they're going to get it right. That's my guess, and they won't unveil or roll out a bill that won't pass. That's my guess, and hopefully make it a better bill. And if it's better, probably because the Freedom Caucus stood firm on their principles. Anyway, appreciate it. Thank you. 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. News Roundup, Information Overload is next. All right, News Roundup and Information Overload Hour here on the Sean Hannity Show. Toll free, our telephone number is 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. You know, we have instance after instance of illegal immigrants that end up committing crimes and hurting American citizens. I know we've debated this since the day that Donald Trump came down the escalator and said that, yes, some people that entered this country are rapists and some are murderers. I've been down to the border how many times? I won't repeat all the different vehicles I've been searching in the border. But we know that in Texas alone, over a 7-year period of time, 642,000 crimes against Texans were committed. I mean, I can go through. I have a list right here. We'll put it up on our website. It would take me the entire half hour to read it to you of people that lost their sons and daughters because of illegal immigrants, many of them having past criminal records that we allow back into the country. Why this is even an issue, I don't know. And then, of course, we have the issue of sanctuary cities in New York and in San Francisco and in Chicago and Los Angeles and elsewhere. You have the L.A. mayor today vowing to keep sanctuary cities, allowing illegal immigrants, even criminal aliens, to continue to roam free. And we have, in the city of Chicago, Rambo Deadfish. Well, we had 4,000 people killed over Barack Obama's 2 terms. He's done nothing to fix that. And, how many more Kate Steinleys do we need to hear about? Well, we've told you about the case of Grant Ronnebeck, his father, Steve, has been on this program, and he lost his son who was doing nothing other than working at a convenience store overnight, that got killed for no reason. I've interviewed so many different mothers that have lost their children because of illegal immigrants released back into our population because these cities are protecting these criminals. It's a form of insanity. Listen to the case of Steve Ronnebeck, and then we're going to play for you Jeff Sessions and what he is telling these cities and states that failed to comply with the immigration scheduled.
The president has rightly said disregard for law must end. In his executive order, he stated that it is the policy of the executive branch to ensure that states and cities comply with all federal laws, including all immigration laws. Today, I'm urging states and local jurisdictions to comply with these federal laws. Moreover, the Department of Justice will require that jurisdictions seeking or applying for Department of Justice grants to certify compliance as a condition of receiving those awards. This policy is entirely consistent with the Department of Justice's Office of Justice Programs guidance that was issued just last summer. This guidance requires state and local jurisdictions to comply and certify compliance in order to be eligible for OJP grants. It also made clear that failure to remedy violations could result in withholding grants, termination of grants, and disbarment or ineligibility for future grants. The Department of Justice will also take all lawful steps to claw back any funds awarded to a jurisdiction that willfully violates. In the current fiscal year, the Department of Justice's Office of Justice Programs and Community-Oriented Policing Services anticipates awarding more than $4.1 billion in grants. I strongly urge our nation's states and cities and counties to consider carefully the harm they are doing to their citizens by refusing to enforce our immigration laws and to rethink these policies.
All right, that was the Attorney General. Before that, Steve Ronnebeck, the father of Grant Ronnebeck. This young man lost his life. We have the recent case in Rockville, Maryland. 2 teenagers accused of raping a 9th grader. Well, they were among the tens of thousands of young people who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border illegally in 2016. So how many more Grant Ronnebecks are going to get killed? Kate Steinleys are going to get killed? How many more young women at 14 are going to get raped? Before we realize, and why are cities like New York and Chicago and San Francisco and Los Angeles scrupulous, willing to let them go free. Criminals that we know have not obeyed our laws and sovereignty. Steve Ronnebeck, Grant's father, is with us. Jessica Vaughn is the Director of Policy Studies for the Center for Immigration Studies. Philip Holloway is the founder of Holloway Law Group based in Cobb County in Georgia, former prosecutor, former police officer. You know, Steve, I've interviewed you before. I mean, here's your son. He's working. He's 21 years old, and a man comes in, wants free cigarettes. Your son's giving them to him, and he still kills them. It's unbelievable.
It happens every day. It just hasn't stopped. And these sanctuary cities, these mayors and police chiefs what they're doing is irresponsible, Sean. It's asking for more crime like this to happen, more murders, more rapes, more sexual abuse of children, burglaries, identity theft. The list goes on and on.
It's so horrible. You know, every single parent out there in this audience, just stop for a second. Just imagine this happened to your son or daughter, Kate Steinle or Grant Ronnebeck or your 14-year-old daughter. How would you feel about your government? Would you feel your government protected you? The answer is obviously no. Jessica.
No, of course not. I have just come from a hearing on Capitol Hill discussing immigration enforcement, among other things, and witnesses for the Democrats kept saying that sanctuary cities make us all safer. Nothing could be further from the truth. We know now, because of the Trump administration releasing policies, that the sanctuary policies are protecting criminal aliens, many of whom have already serious convictions. Philadelphia released someone who had been convicted of homicide in the first week that we started tracking this year. There is a human cost to these policies. They're political in nature, and it's about time that the federal government took steps to try to prevent them and to punish those jurisdictions that are going to cling to their sanctuary policy and defy the federal government for their political ends.
Yeah, Philip, your take.
Well, you know, the saying goes, if you take the king's shillings, you do the king's bidding, right? So that's the power of the purse, Sean. And this is really nothing new. The Attorney General was exactly correct yesterday when he stated what the government's policy is, but it's not new policy. I'm looking at a grant application from last year right now in front of me, and it says the same things that the Attorney General said. If these jurisdictions want federal grant money, they must comply with federal law, and that includes 8 U.S.C. Section 1373.
So this is a no-brainer.
They share information with the federal government.
So the L.A. mayor vowing that L.A. is going to remain a sanctuary city should get no money. The San Francisco should get no money. Chicago and New York should get no money, period, right?
Zero. They should get zero money, and they're not doing the immigration population any favors either, because when they become something known as a sanctuary city or sanctuary jurisdiction, what happens is the illegal immigration population will swell there. So if I, for example, were running the local immigration authority, ICE, in one of those places, guess where I'm going to deploy my resources? It's going to be in that target-rich environment where we believe illegal aliens are flocking to. So they're really not doing anybody any favors. They're certainly not doing their taxpayers any favors by jeopardizing the loss of God knows how much federal money that's possibly out there.
Yeah, well, you know, look what happened. You got the lawyer for one of the accused illegal aliens that was arrested for raping a 14-year-old girl in the high school bathroom is predicting his client will get off on a technicality. Listen to this. He plans to cite evidence that suggested the attack may have been consensual. Wow. Anyway, the Washington Post reports that the attorneys for the two suspects accused of raping this girl in the bathroom at this Rockville high school said the girl texted their client the day before the incident and agreed to have sex with him. So now they're going to, what is this, blame the victim day? Or
Well, even if it was actual consent, of course, that's up in the air. There's got to be legal consent, and that means the person has to be capable of giving consent. And it doesn't change the fact that you have, you know, immigrants, either legal or illegal, that are arrested, because that's when the legal issues really come into play. Is once an immigrant, whether they be illegal or a green card holder, once they wind up in jail, then the local jails have to notify the federal government. The federal government will put what's called an ICE hold or a detainer on the person, and then if the person's charges are dismissed or they're otherwise resolved, or they're granted bond, for example, they should be handed over to the federal authorities for processing through the immigration courts.
Yeah, stay right there. I got to take a break here. We'll wrap things up with all three of you. And, Steve, I don't know how you get through every day the way you do, but, I mean, my heart goes out to you. It's horrible. And as we continue, Jeff Sessions now says all these states that are, quote, sanctuary cities, L.A., San Francisco, New York, Chicago, they're not going to be getting federal funds, and the rule of law must be upheld. And we continue with Steve Ronnebeck. He lost his 21-year-old son, Grant, who was working at a convenience store in Mesa, Arizona, and also Jessica Vaughn with the Policy Study Center for Immigration Studies, and Philip Holloway, founder of the Holloway Law Group. Also, he's based in Cobb County, former prosecutor, former police officer. Steve, I said in the last segment, I said, if this happened to me, I don't know how I recover, but it's happening. And it's happening again and again. And we just don't pay attention to it. So I assume you're pretty happy that now this administration is going to take a stand on this.
Oh, absolutely. President Trump has been keeping his promises. He's kept his word. And, it's a far cry from our last administration, who basically shunned all of us, that our families of victims, that, we didn't have a voice. Well, now we have a voice. We have somebody who's actually caring about the American citizens and what's happening, and recognizing that these crimes are preventable. They're preventable. They can be stopped.
Yeah. Phil, from a legal standpoint, can we sue these states that choose the rights of illegal immigrants over, for example, should Steve Ronnebeck be allowed to sue over the federal government in his particular case, an illegal immigrant that was released by ICE before he killed his son?
Well, he should be able to, but unfortunately I don't think he can because of sovereign immunity. Now Congress could enact legislation, for example, that may subject jurisdictions to some type of federal action in federal court if they don't comply with federal law. That's a good possibility. Whether Congress has the political will to do that is another question. But unfortunately, I think the individual victims are left without much recourse against individual jurisdictions that choose to flagrantly violate federal law.
That's sad. Jessica, your thoughts on why shouldn't we be able to sue? In the case of Grant, he's killed by an illegal immigrant, released by ICE after conviction of burglary and kidnapping involving drug dealing. If I remember, Steve, wasn't it the case that this guy had kidnapped this girl for a week?
Yes, they held her captive for a week. They raped her continuously for that week.
Okay, so they let this predator out back on the streets. And he kills your son. How could you not have any recourse against the idiots that allowed that to happen?
I tried to get recourse, but unfortunately, the administration and the government at the time was able to hide behind the word discretion.
Unbelievable. Jessica, can we change that?
It could be changed. Congress could create a private right of action in these situations, or a state government could create a private right of action and allow for lawsuits in egregious cases like the Ronnebecks. It's very frustrating that this illegal alien who had been convicted of this other horrific crime was allowed back onto the streets because of the Obama administration's prosecutorial discretion policies. He could have been removed quickly if he had been kept in detention.
And Grant would be alive today, and Steve wouldn't be suffering every morning when he opens his eyes thinking about this horror. Yeah, exactly.
Right, and it's a tragic case. Unfortunately, it's not the only case. This is happening in communities all over the country, and especially in the sanctuary jurisdictions where they deliberately struck. They should be prosecuted as well, and there's a provision in federal law to allow that.
And how old would Grant be today? I understand it's his birthday, Steve.
Grant would be 24 today.
So 3 years you've had to live with this, and this now you live with for the rest of your life. I'm so sorry. It should never have happened. It's a disgrace. Thank you all for being with us. Appreciate it. 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. I got a letter from Clint Lawrence, and I'm going to get into that when we get back, and we'll get to your calls. Remember the guy who was defending his soldiers in Afghanistan, and then he got, 20 years in jail? Unbelievable. Anyway, quick break. Right back. We'll continue. Yeah, that's me. Bad for America. Bad to the bone. All right, 800-941-SEAN, our toll-free telephone number. You want to be a part of the program. So we have told you, and we've had the mother of Clint Lawrence on this radio program, and I even asked the president, vice president about it. They're looking into the matter, and Clint Lawrence was convicted in 2013 of murder. and sentenced to 20 years in prison because he ordered his men, he was the platoon leader, to engage three men of military age on motorcycles speeding towards their patrol in Afghanistan in July of 2012. They killed two of those men. What the untold story is the week before he took over as the platoon leader, guys on motorcycles killed a bunch of Americans. And since that time, we found out that the very fingerprints, the DNA of the men that were killed were actually also identified on IEDs used to kill innocent people. So this guy's in jail for no reason at all. He saved American lives. Now, the prosecution claimed the Afghan men were just innocent civilians. But we found out the Army withheld that evidence that proved that the military-age males on the motorcycles were biometrically linked to IEDs that killed U.S. paratroopers and were linked to other IED makers. So why is this poor guy in jail? Just like, we have been following Christian Saucier. His case, he took 6 pictures of his submarine. He's in jail for a year. But in case of Clint Lawrence, he's in there for 20 years. I got a letter yesterday from Clint Lawrence. It looked like it was written on an old typewriter, didn't it? Kind of did. I don't know. I guess that's the communication form. He's in Leavenworth. He's serving 20 years in prison. He needs a pardon. He deserves a pardon. He deserves a new trial. Dear Mr. Hannity, Colonel John Mayer and my beautiful mother have told me what you and your staff have been doing on my behalf. And I got to give credit to Linda and Lauren because they have been all over this. And they keep me up to speed and up to date with everything that's been happening. He writes, I can't even think of the right words to say how much I appreciate it and how much I am humbled by the opportunity to write to you. So please let me speak from the heart. Now, after a few weeks here in Leavenworth, the shock began to wear off. I was actually in prison. At first, it was quite an adjustment to go from soldier to inmate. But in many ways, this situation has been a blessing to me. I can't fathom that. He writes, you may think that sounds crazy. And if you had asked me before 2013, I'd certainly not be telling you that coming to prison would be a blessing, but my paradigm has changed a bit. He writes, over the past several years, I have had the chance to stop dead in my tracks and measure the meaning of life. A man learns a great deal about himself in a place like this. I think we learn what we're made of. We learn what we can handle. We learn what we can handle more than we ever thought possible. The sweetest reward that I have gotten out of this whole thing is that I have fallen in love with my country all over again. And contrary to what many folks say these days, this country is absolutely full of good, patriotic, and loving people, people who care for one another, people who share one another's pain, people who fight for one another. We are indeed one big American family. I've come to realize that that is where our true strength lies, our people. American people are surely amazing. We all want the same things out of life, faith, family, freedom, and that's important. He writes, don't get me wrong. Prison is not ideal. I wouldn't recommend it. But to have so many great people standing beside me over the past several years has been the honor of my life. He writes, I will not soon forget it. And, sir, to have someone as ardent a patriot as you standing behind me is something I feel I do not deserve. But I'll be forever grateful and eternally loyal. May God bless you, Mr. Hannity, and may he keep our great republic strong. I know our best days truly do lie ahead. We'll make sure of it. And he writes in ink, never give up, never give in. Respectfully, Clint Lawrence. Wow. He's a better man than I am. I can tell you that. I'd be angry and bitter and livid. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do here, because we're simultaneously continuing to plead his case when we can. And I know a lot of people wish that, this would be the top agenda item. It's very hard. You got to understand the overwhelming magnitude of what it means to become president and vice president. But we're going to continue when we get the opportunity to have the president, have the vice president look into his case, Christian Saucier's case, and hopefully something can happen. But in the meantime, we're going to add a link to my website, Hannity.com. And all it is a contact. Because I'm thinking that if I'm in Leavenworth, and I'm there and I'm an innocent person, and I know I saved my platoon from dying, that I'd probably want to hear from people. So if you are so inclined, if your heart motivates you, you may want to write Clinton a message. By the way, if you're a snowflake and you want to be abusive, you know what? This man's suffering enough. Leave him alone. But if you want to send a letter of support and thanks and appreciation, uplifting, help this guy get through some tough times, the longer probably the letter, the better, because he's got nothing but time on his hands in jail. But this guy does not belong in jail. He does not belong in prison. He does not belong in Leavenworth. And I'm sure he'd much rather be out with his platoon saving their lives again. Such a travesty of justice. Makes me sick to my stomach that this happens in this country, but it does. And we're going to try and right this wrong and correct this injustice. But in the meantime, I'm sure any notes, any letters, any comments, I'm sure he would love to hear from you. And Linda's putting it up on our websites. And by the way, the illegal immigrants, they get to walk free. After they kidnap and rape people for a week, then they get set free in a sanctuary city so they can kill another innocent person. Unbelievable. All right, let's get to our busy telephones here. Let's go to WIOD News Radio in Miami, Florida. Jose is standing by. Jose, hi, how are you? We're glad you called, sir.
Thank you, Sean. I hope you're doing well. Sean, I wanted to just comment on the insanity of the sanctuary cities and what Jeff Sessions said and their response to what he said. I find it ironic that the Supreme Court struck down the Arizona law back in 2012. Remember that law that they passed statewide that they would in fact engage in enforcement of federal immigration laws in conjunction with the federal government? It's insane that law gets stricken, and yet you have these sanctuary cities thumbing their nose at the federal government doing the exact opposite and getting a pass. And I just find that just outrageous.
Look, it is outrageous. I mean, it's unbelievable. I just can't believe that there are cities so arrogant in this country. You know, when I grew up, that's called aiding and abetting and assisting in a crime. And, you know, how many more Kate Steinleys do we need to talk about, or Grant Ronebacks do we need to talk about, or any of these other people that are either raped or assaulted or killed, and all these other parents that we've had on this program that have lost their kids? I mean, when do we wake up and realize the American people have a right to be served by their government, not treated this way? Anyway, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much, Jose. All the best to you. Ron is in New York listening on the all-new AM 710 WOR, the talk of New York, New Jersey, Long Island. What's going on, Ron? How are you?
Hi, Mr. Hannity. Actually, I'm calling from upstate New York in Schenectady, New York.
Oh, listening to WGY. Yes, sir. Glad you called.
Yes. Well, Mr. Hannity, I'm calling about what Ted Koppel had said on Sunday on the CBS Sunday morning show, and I was very appalled. I'm a blue-collar worker. I work in a heating, air conditioning, wholesale business, and I find it very appalling for him to say, you are bad for America. I find it that he's bad for America and all us deplorables who have to work every day and see where our money goes to social service system and everything else that we have to put into. I find it very deplorable for what he had to say.
I find his comments deplorable, also arrogant, and I find it sort of along the lines of Obama saying bitter people in Pennsylvania clinging to their guns, God, and religion, or irredeemable deplorables by Hillary. And, you know, interestingly, he's against opinion programs, but he wants to give his opinion about me, so there's great hypocrisy there. I don't think he's bad for America. I mean, he's entitled to his opinion. That's not my complaint.
That's true, you know. But again, fake news, as they say, they do not reflect what the average American feels and how they think, and basically they could care less. It seems like it's their agenda on the liberal left side, and forget about the average, ordinary, everyday, hardworking citizen.
Why did I sit for 50 minutes and only have 70 seconds air that made him look in the best possible way? Why don't they just release the whole? They have the whole tape. They have a website. Release it. And you know what? Then let people. I will say this: it was a good give and take. It was a substantive exchange. A lot was said in this thing, and I'm like, but he doesn't. They don't want to do it because on the tape he actually says to me, Sean, none of that is going to be in the tape. None of that is going to be included. I'm like, well, why am I sitting here? I'm laughing. I literally started laughing. I remember laughing. I'm like, this is a joke? Well, why am I answering your questions? And then all throughout the rest of the interview, I kept saying, Ted, you really need to keep this in. Ted, don't edit this out. Ted, keep this in. And I was taunting them, so they don't want you to see that. And that's why I call this edited fake news. You know, what the cut and pasting that they do all the time on 60 Minutes and all these other programs, it's designed to give a predetermined story outcome. They didn't want to hear from me. They didn't want my point of view. They had a narrative. They had written their story, and they just needed to get the right tape. It took them 50 minutes to get what they wanted so that they can make me look bad. And, you know, whatever. I don't feel I look bad. I think I'm very proud of the work I do versus the work they don't do. I'm very proud that I vetted Obama when they didn't dare. I'm proud that I told you his true record after 8 years. They never touched it. I'm really proud that we highlighted the collusion with Hillary and the media in this country, and they didn't touch that either. I'm also proud that I'm debunking every day the stupid Russian conspiracy narrative that's gone on for 8 months in this country. And by the way, tonight, I'm going to give you the true Russian conspiracy, like we were talking about earlier, with this Uranium One company handing over 20% of America's uranium to Russia, and the Clintons personally financially benefit and the Clinton Foundation benefits. You know, something I guess CBS News won't touch either. So, anyway, thank God we have the opportunity to have new media here. Anyway, I appreciate your support. Ron, you have a last word? All right, I think he's gone. All right, let's go back to our phones. Let's go to Tim in Michigan. Tim, what's up? How are you?
Hey, Sean.
Hey, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm good, sir. What's happening?
Thank you so much for taking my call. I wanted to talk about the health care debate, and I think one of the things that is distressingly missing from the entire debate is something preferably from President Trump, where he comes out very publicly on TV and says America is not a socialist country, period. And we reject socialized medicine as a concept.
You know what?
Everybody talks about it in terms of all of Obamacare. It's the Affordable Care Act. It's America Care. No, it's not. It's socialized medicine, and we should absolutely reject it. That's my point.
Listen, the answer is free markets. The answer is competition. The answer is the Josh Umbers of the world that can offer concierge service at $50 a month and a catastrophic plan for most people. Let's say you get a catastrophic plan that if you have a heart attack, get in a bad accident, if God forbid you get cancer, then you're covered. That's what insurance is for. So insurance is not designed to pay for stubbing your toe or, you fall down and you need 5 stitches. It's just not. That's not what insurance is supposed to be for. It's amazing. I talked to my doctor this weekend about this, and I told him about Josh Umber. He said, well, I can understand it works in a lot of places in the country. He said it absolutely wouldn't work in New York. And I said, why? He goes, I have patients, they're mad at their $10 copay. There is a whole mindset of people out in this country, and this is where this rubber meets the road. Do we want to be a free market capitalist society, or are we all in for cradle to the grave, womb to the tomb, to each according to his need, from each according to his ability, even though we know that's a failure? People don't even want to pay a $10 copay. To me, it's ridiculous. That's not, insurance has emerged just like Social Security has emerged, Medicare has emerged. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more bloated, and promises are made, and bankruptcy is insured for everything. At some point, the answer has to be in freedom of individuals to make smart decisions with their life. And I would only argue with you that the best thing we can do is allow the free market to work the way it was designed. Health savings accounts, health care cooperatives. We can put in other new paradigms where, groups of people, Nurses United across America, or construction workers in America, or plumbers in America, or Lawyers for America, whatever the group is, and they can now buy insurance.